Assalamu alaikum. Peace and blessings, everyone. Everyone. How y'all doing? Oh my goodness. I am so excited, y'all. Well, first, let me introduce myself or reintroduce myself. My name is Miss Sasha, and I am the founder and executive director of ABC Read. And ABC Read is a nonprofit organization, 501c3, that I started over 10 years ago. Our mission is to develop and nurture a culture of literacy in Black and underserved communities, y'all. Yes, indeed. I am just elated on cloud nine because we just had our very first fundraising gala, and it was an absolute success. Y'all hear me? I'm for real, y'all. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10, okay? Yes. Not just me saying it. Yes, we got feedback from the people immediately afterwards. I asked them, I said, if you all were to rate this fundraising gala, what would you give it on a scale from 1 to 10? Immediately, 10, 10, 10, 10. I said, oop, 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 and oop. I said, well, why? Why did you give it a 10 out of 10? They said the vibes. They said it was a family-like atmosphere. They said they loved the fact that we were celebrating our people as it pertains to literacy, the authenticity. They loved the fact that they could tell that this organization and what we're bringing to the community is from the heart. It's for our people, because we are those people that we're talking about. We're the people who want to see our communities value literacy in the same way that our ancestors taught us, and how books have always been valued: learning, education, reading, writing, conversation, community, intergenerational component. You have our seasoned, our wise community advising, being there for our younger generation coming up. And also the younger generation being able to help in terms of showing us the things that they need. Them being comfortable, them being able to express what it is that they need and what they want. And we, as those who are older and those who are my elders, are able to be there to help support them. These are just, some of the things they love. Oh, the food. Come on, y'all. We already know, especially when you have a fundraising gala dinner, the food has to be top tier, right? I mean, that's just a given. And the food was top tier, the bomb. Okay, this is what the people saying, though, y'all. It ain't just coming from my mouth. This is what the people saying. They, of course, love the books, the book display. They love the decor, the venue. That's what they said. Also, they love the intimacy of the venue, because it wasn't a venue that can hold, I think it made, the most it may can hold is like maybe about close to 100 people. Probably not even that, maybe about 80 or so people. And we had, I think in total, we had about 30 people in total. And we had reserved the place for 60. That's what we said. We were going to be able to have our dinner for 60 people. So we had about half who came, which is great, by the way. That's still doing great, especially this is our first time. We're still a growing organization. So that right there is phenomenal. But it's not always about the numbers. Of course, yeah, we want numbers, right? You need, as many people as you can, all hands on deck. But the main thing is the quality. I'm talking about educators, parents, community members, people from different faiths. Okay, this was like an intergenerational, interfaith, just community minded. You had our sisters, we had our brothers there, and it was just amazing. And they were able to see how ABC Read got started. They were able to hear how I came up with that idea of ABC Read and the reason behind why I wanted to start ABC Read. So all of that was able to be witnessed, because that's important. People want to hear the story. They want to know, well, what's going on? What made you decide to get into this arena? And so them hearing it, like, oh, it makes sense. Like, okay, like, yeah, we need to be able to have these different events, and we need to be able to have things that are promoting literacy, because we have still this high levels of illiteracy in our communities. So with that being said, I just, of course I had to share that, right? I mean, this is the day after, so that was a given. I had to make sure I shared how phenomenal the fundraising gala was. And we are truly grateful. We are grateful for our videographer who came out. Shout out to Mr. Lavert. Holla. Oh man, he was just an absolute success. Came right on in the scene and just getting the footage of the scene, what was going on, the presentations, the food, the conversation. We had a dope, engaging literacy activity where everyone was able to write a sentence that it was a writing prompt. And so their sentence, of course, had to be connected to the writing prompt. And so everyone had to add, and it could be as quirky, as mysterious, scary, whatever it was they chose. So it was all a collective story. So we had some dope stuff. Silent auction. We had those who gave to the silent auction. We appreciate you all tremendously. The volunteers, of course, the ABC Read board, all of that. So I thank you all once again. I really, truly do. So now I'm about to get into the read aloud, okay? Because this is where the foundation of ABC Read started. Me, again, valuing being able to read these books, understanding that reading aloud is one of the most single ways in which we can create successful readers, all right? Very important to have the read aloud. So now I'm about to share the read aloud with you, okay? So, da 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 da. Oh, I was so happy when I saw this book in the bag of books that Sister Risa donated to our organization. I had this book for a while, and then I believe I wound up giving it away at one of our events. And I said, man, I got to get this book again. And this was the only copy that was in the bag of books that she donated. So I said, oh my gosh. So Ruth and the Green Book, y'all. Calvin Alexander Ramsey is the author, with Gwen Strauss, and the illustrations by the late Floyd Cooper. I just love his illustrations. He is no longer with us, but he left a legacy behind. And this is what I'm talking about, an example, right? This brother, Floyd Cooper, is able to, reap these benefits, right, of the legacy that he left behind of these warm, dope illustrations of books that showcases our people in such a real way. All right. So here we go. Ruth and the Green Book. Y'all know about the Green Book? Y'all know about Victor H. Green? Well, y'all about to find out about Victor H. Green if you don't know about him already. Okay. Let's do it. It was a big day at our house when Daddy drove up in our very own automobile, a 1952 Buick. It is the most beautiful color. Daddy calls it sea mist green. He bought it for his new job. But first, we planned to go on a trip to visit Grandma in Alabama. I was so excited to travel across the country. I packed my own bag, and Mama said I could take Brown Bear with me for company, even though I'm almost too old for him. As we drove out of Chicago, it felt funny to see the neighborhood disappear, and then the streets, and then the buildings. I love all the green grass and hills and trees. Daddy told lots of stories about when he was a boy in Alabama. He made us laugh. Eventually, we stopped and had a picnic lunch that Mama had packed. She had been cooking all week to get ready for the trip. After driving for a long time, we stopped at a service station to fill up on gas. As Daddy was paying the station attendant, Mama asked for the key to the restroom. The man said we couldn't use the restrooms because they were for whites only. Mama and I had to go into the woods. I was embarrassed, but Mama said the people who should be ashamed of themselves were those service station owners. I was tired when Daddy stopped the automobile. I asked Mama where we were, and she said we were going to spend the night in a real hotel. We watched Daddy talking to the man behind the desk. Daddy was smiling and pointed to us, but the man shook his head and turned his back. Daddy came back out and slammed the car door. He never slammed the door before, so I knew he was mad. I wondered what happened, but I knew somehow it wasn't a good time to ask him. Mama gave me a look that said, "Ruth, just keep quiet." So that's what I did. We kept on driving through the night. Mama took a turn so Daddy could sleep. I fell asleep with brown bear as my pillow. We must have pulled off the road in the middle of the night because when I woke in the morning, we were all curled up in the car. I was stiff and hungry. Mama gave us cold biscuits and jam for breakfast. She said we should sing to cheer ourselves up. We sang a lot that day as we crossed the country. We had picnics at roadside stops for lunch and dinner because all the restaurants had signs in the windows that said we couldn't eat there. It seemed like there were white only signs everywhere outside of our Chicago neighborhood. I felt homesick, and I hugged Brown Bear close all day. When we crossed into Tennessee, Daddy said his friend Eddie lived close by. He was sure we could sleep there. Eddie was so happy to see us. He gave me a big hug and told me that he knew me when I was real little. His wife Alice cooked us a warm meal and I ate too much. Daddy and Eddie used to play music in a band before they went off and fought in the war. They talked about how they traveled a lot back then and how they always had a hard time finding places to rest and eat. Daddy shook his head and said he had hoped that the war had changed things, but now he could see he was wrong. That night I went to sleep to the sound of Daddy and Eddie playing music together. Brown Bear and I were happy to sleep in a real bed with a real pillow. The next day, as we loaded the car, I heard Eddie talking quietly to Mama and Daddy. Eddie warned them about what was ahead. Someone called Jim Crow. I heard Eddie tell them that however bad it was so far, it was only going to get worse for us, maybe even dangerous, as we went farther south. Then Eddie saw me listening, and he picked me up and told me not to worry. He said that I should look out for Esso service stations along the road because the people there would be nice to us. In the car, I asked Daddy who Jim Crow was, and he explained that Jim Crow wasn't a who. It was a bunch of ugly laws forbidding blacks and whites from mixing in any way. I asked, why don't they want our business? Wasn't our money just the same? It hurt my feelings to be so unwelcome. But Mama sighed and reminded me that my job that day was to look for an Esso station. I spotted an Esso station near the Georgia border and sang out for Daddy to stop. Daddy filled the car up and asked the man if he knew where we could sleep for the night. The man showed us a pamphlet called The Negro Motorist Green Book. He explained this book was started by a postman, Mr. Victor H. Green, to help Black people who were traveling. It lists places in lots of states where we would be welcome to sleep, eat, shop, get a haircut, and all kinds of other information besides. Right away, Daddy bought our very own copy for 75 cents. Mama read about a place nearby called a tourist home where we could stay for the last night of our trip. Daddy called ahead, and sure enough, the lady told us to come right away. Then Mama gave me the green book and said I was in charge of keeping it. I couldn't stop reading it. All those places and all those states where we could go and not worry about being turned away. We reached the tourist home in the early evening. Mrs. Melody, the owner, gave us a big smile when she opened the door. It was like coming home. And she wouldn't even let Daddy pay her. She said she welcomed Negro travelers because it was right to help each other out. I'm going to do the same one day. The next morning, I hated to say goodbye to Mrs. Melody, but Daddy said we could be at Grandma's house that evening. That made me happy to get going again. It wasn't so easy, though. Our automobile broke down about midday in the middle of nowhere. People drove right past. I felt empty in the pit of my stomach. I hugged Brown Bear and wished we were already at Grandma's house. But Mama said not to worry. We could figure this out. She unfolded our map and told me the names of nearby towns. She said, Ruth, look in the green book and see if you can find a place in one of these towns that will fix our car. And I did. Daddy gave me a big hug, and then he walked into town to find the garage that would help us. By the time we got the car fixed, it was too late to reach Grandma's house that day. So I looked in the green book and picked out an inn nearby that said they welcomed Negro travelers. It was a big house with lots of rooms. Most of the people there were businessmen traveling for their jobs. They each carried a green book. They said they could never do their jobs without it. We met a salesman named Jason who has traveled to all the states of the Union for his job. He told such funny stories. Mama laughed so hard she had tears rolling down her face. For the first time since we left home, we were really happy. At the inn, I met a little boy who was traveling with his mother. It was the first time he had ever left home, and I could just tell he was scared. I thought of Mrs. Melody, Victor Green, Eddie, and all the other people who had helped us. And then I decided to give Brown Bear to the boy. I told him that Brown Bear was a good traveler. I'm too old for Brown Bear now, and the little boy needed him more than I do. Then I told his mother about the Green Book and showed her our copy. That night before I went to sleep, I thought about our trip. It was not what I had expected. Traveling could be scary, that's for sure. It made me sad that some people were mean to Negroes. But it helped to know that good Black people all over the country had pitched in to help each other. It felt like I was part of one big family. Plus, tomorrow I would finally see Grandma and tell her what a great green book guide I had been. The end. Nice, nice, nice. Definitely very, very important story. And I like here in the back, which is so cool, it gives the history of the Negro Motorist Green Book. All right. So here, back here, you guys can see. And of course, once again, just to recap, this book was created by Victor H. Green because he knew that Black people had needed assistance when they were traveling during the time of the ignorant Jim Crow laws, right? And to be quite frank with you, honestly, I still believe that we need a Green Book to this day because unfortunately, we still have places across this nation where, as Black people, we have to be careful in going to certain areas. And we know this, when you start traveling, especially you go in those rural areas and you're not really seeing us, you got to, as we know in the Black community, say, we got to keep our head on a swivel. And that's once again, the, 500,649 reason as to why we have to get rid of this unjust system. Okay. It's really sad when, especially stories like this, and I just think about it, just makes me think about how the babies felt, how those little ones felt when they would have to see their parents, talking to a white person and then them telling them, oh no, you can't use the bathroom here. Oh no, you all can't eat here. Oh no, you can't rest here. They didn't care about it was a little kid with them or a baby with them. No humanity type of thoughts would come in their minds. It was like, yeah, that's the law. You can't be here. Well, why can't we be here? Well, tell me that law again. You can't because the way that we were made, right? The way that God created our bodies, everything about us. You are going to quote unquote penalize us for that, even though the first human was Black. I digress, y'all. Y'all know I can go there, and I'm not about to use the read aloud to continue to go there right now. But I did have to put that little caveat in there. That was very important. So, with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed the read aloud. I hope again that you gained more information. I hope that this is allowing you to go and do a deep dive, do some more research on the Green Book, especially with your little ones. And I would like to say this was one of the reasons why at our ABC Read reading camps, where I had the children actually create their own Green Book. So I had all the kids come up with business ideas, and they came up with the name of their business, what it would be, what things they would offer. And then everybody had, it was almost like they made kind of like a big business card. And then I compiled it together, and I just showed them, I said, this is an example of what Victor H. Green did for our community. So he galvanized the Black folks, said, hey, look, y'all, give me your information and let's put it all in this book. We can compile it so then he can sell it. So he'll make a profit. But again, while he's making a profit, he's also what? Serving a purpose. He's serving, he's giving a solution to a problem, right? And he said, I want to make sure that my people, whenever they need somewhere to sleep, whenever they need their car fixed, whenever they need to go to barbershop, beauty salon, the grocery store, whatever it is that they need, I have a book right here in which you can go handle your business by Black-owned business owners, and you can still be safe at the same time. And all the while, we're still supporting one another. So really, we need to take heed to those lessons that our ancestors left behind, and those things that was prosperous, those things that helped our community. We need to make sure that we're keeping those things within our communities. So I thank you all again for listening. And again, my name is Miss Sasha. As you all see the ticker at the bottom, ABC Read, the number one. If you would love to donate to our organization, because these are, again, the types of books that we give to the community, books for children and adults as well. So we give books for everybody. All right. Even though, like I said before, I tend to read picture books because I like to, show the illustrations a lot of times when I'm doing the read alouds live. However, these books are for everyone to enjoy. So I thank you all for listening. Reading is Freedom is the merch. Go ahead and go to my website, readingisfreedomshop.com. You can grab your mug, your shirt, your bag, your hoodie, your sweatshirt. Okay? So I thank you all for listening, and make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Reading is Freedom. What's up, my YouTube family? Y'all watching. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, share, put the comments in the comment section below. And you all take care, and remember to please keep reading for at least 30 minutes a day. And remember, reading is freedom. Bye.